it's Sean here from Adfab Grooming Scissors. Today I'm going to be discussing the difference between thinning scissors and blending scissors. Again, it's a question that comes up a lot because people confuse the two names. I'm asked for a thinning scissor when actually what the groomer is needing is something that's going to give a bit more of a softer finish rather than just taking out bulk. So here I am today discussing the two different types of scissors. So start off with the 7-inch 50 tooth blending scissor. I also have although it's a left hand, the 5.5 30 tooth thinning scissor. So difference is generally the sizes. So a thinning scissor will tend to sit between 5 and 6.5 inches in length, with approximately 20 to about 35 teeth. A blending scissor sits between sort of 6.5 inches and can go all the way up to an 8-inch. I'm pretty sure there's a 9-inch available, but the majority of the sizes for the blending scissors seem to sit between the 6.5 and 7.5 and 8 inches. The most popular length for a blending scissor tends to be the 7-inch because it means that you can use it around all areas of the body, including the face, but also the rest of the body itself. So thinning scissors and blending scissors, they do look similar. If I can get a bit closer so you can see. So they have teeth. The teeth themselves are fairly narrow individually. There isn't too much of a gap between each tooth, but when it comes to the difference between these two types of scissors, there are quite a lot of difference. So I'll open up the thinning scissor so you can see what I mean. So whilst the teeth themselves are thin and narrow, and there's far more of them compared to say a texturizing or chunker, you'll notice that actually the gap between each tooth is fairly wide in comparison to the blender, which I'll show you in a moment. Now the idea for these teeth is it's simply as it suggests, it will thin the coat. It's great for removing knots that can be removed safely and gently without any harm to the dog. Mainly loose knots, something along those lines. But the idea of the thinning scissor is used primarily at the prep stage of the groom. So where you get the rough stuff done, you get the brush out, you get down into the skin with the knots, and really give the dog that rough trim prior to the bathing and drying, and then moving obviously on to the finishing stages. So a blending scissor, same style of teeth generally, so straight and narrow, but the difference with the blending scissor is they have far more teeth. So blending scissor generally has between 40 to 60 teeth. I know that there are some scissors where they come with 70, but the scissor itself is a lot longer, but they generally sit between sort of 40, 45, 50, and the more teeth you have on a blending scissor, the much softer finish you'll get at the end. Now the gap between each tooth as well is also fairly narrow compared to the thinning scissor. The idea of this is the blending scissor is used more towards the finishing stages of the groom, as it allows you to create that softer finish. They are fantastic for blending in any scissor mistakes or any tram lines from clipper blades. They can also help create seamless transitions between different areas of the dog. So if, for example, you're going from the back where it's been scissored with a straight, but you want a more softer, fluffy look on the legs, you can use the blending scissor to go from the back down onto the back legs, for example, and give that much softer finish. So as I said, the difference, to summarize actually, the difference between the thinner and the blender is the length of scissor, the number of teeth, and the job that they do. So the thinning scissor is your prep scissor, gets rid of bulk, potentially any sort of loose mats that may be in the coat, but obviously use that with caution. The blending scissor itself is more towards the finishing end of the groom. It will give you a softer finish, but the beauty with both these scissors is they can be used interchangeably. So if you have a dog with quite a thick coat, you might want to actually use the thinning scissor to take more weight out if you find even after the rough groom that it's still a bit too thick. You can then transfer to using the blending scissor to give it a much more softer finish. You won't get a soft finish with a thinning scissor. That's generally the difference between the two scissors. Any questions, I'm always more than happy to help. My email is shan@abfab.com, so that's SIAN @ABBFABB.com.